Completely forgot I selected the wrong thing. Okay, I will appear in a second. I forgot something. I'm very good at starting the things I need to start in order to stream. Not. There we go. Alright. So, we are going to continue a bit in Westfall. Mostly gonna go back to the north and kill a bunch more of the trappers and smugglers and see how far we get. Like, I still need to kill 20 more Defiers for that quest. That is a bit mad. Ay. Well, not really much I can do about it. Okay, somebody has been here recently and killed stuff. Those are golems, that's not what I need. Hey, there's a few smugglers. I spent a little time last night working on something that is still secret for now, but well, I did record some footage for it. I now need to do some editing. And make like logos and intro. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, it might still be a while until that comes to fruition, because my editing skills are kind of non-existent. So... and, you know, better to try and learn than not try at all. Wait a little bit for the mana to regenerate. Okay. It should be enough, at least, to kill something. That one will be tougher again, because that's 2 that an upgrade? Yep, that's an upgrade. Oh, I'm lucky that I didn't pull that one. Oh, there's two in there. I can at least heal myself with that. Once an hour. I get some milk. I don't want to fight you, go away. Alright, seriously? Let's try move a bit further north. Find more defiers somewhere. Still need 6 of both kinds. Quite a bunch here, but they all seem to be smugglers. No, there's a traveler there as well. Wait. A lot of humanoid enemies do that. Alright. Wait a little bit for regen. We can at least speed it up a little. Why is there a second one of those? Ugh. But that's not for 4 more levels, so... We're gonna try to not think about that one too much. Sometimes you can try to direct them a certain way. Or like at least first hold them away from others. Two trappers there. There's another trapper. That's cool. Got all the smugglers I need. I already had one of those. The issue is, I think I will pull both. Yep. Should be doable, at least I can run. Can you stop netting me? Okay, 2 more trappers. And then a bunch of mobs until I have the last bandana. Here's the thing, I really don't want to go into that mine. Now I just need to get some more bandanas. Okay, that's one. Two more. We're not too far off level 14 by now. So that's definitely in the books today. One more should be doable. Okay, now we wait for mana again. One more bandana drop, and then I can go turn in some quests. Well, two of them. Or I can go kill some more gnolls up to the north further. Which might also be a good idea, because then I can just half stone back. Cool. That's all of those. We'll go a bit further north, try to kill some more gnolls. See if I can get those as well. Because the killing fields, those are still level 15, all of them. So I don't quite want to do that quest yet. Okay, someone's been busy up here. Like, really busy. Jeez. There's not a single gnoll left. surely... Oh, that's a coyote. But I see a gnoll. What is a torrent doing here? Right, that's one null paw. He's level 14. Okay, he's dead. And I didn't get any gnoll paws from those. No. I can't. I will die. Let's trap us. So I guess we try to move a bit back and see if any of the other gnolls have respawned. There's one. Okay, 3 more to go. Incredible. I think there were more gnolls up here. We could take a look there as well. And those are also gnoll camps, I think. Okay, we have reached level 14. Yeah, a little. Like, once I'm getting stronger and can clear stuff more easily, questing should be faster. Like, this is like not necessarily super fast, but at least less, hopefully less downtime. Where you just have to wait for resources to regenerate. But I will have to do this early bit on several more characters. But there is the potential that I can then like maybe craft or find some early stuff that I can send over. Like if I find green items on this character or others, I can save them and send them over to myself. I think you could still send your own character's mail on these. I think you could always do that. Right, 2 more paws. Are there any more gnolls? No. Those are a lot of gnolls. Specifically, come on, target the other one, hit it. Oh, I'm not even getting it. Oh, she did. Okay, we killed hers to first. That's why it was grey. Okay, and then the same deal here, I guess. She wants to drink. Well, I should be fine for a bit. She got 2 on the other set, here I get 2, so it's fair. I was about to say, you better help on mine, because I helped on yours. Okay, I have all mine. Good. Goodbye. I'm out. Okay, I think I'm gonna save the half-stone for now. I mean, I helped her kill multiple ones. And she helped on mine, so I think we're even. But yeah, like, stuff like this. Obviously, this one will not really help me right now. But if I find stuff like this, bind on equipped items that I can keep for twings, or alts, as you call usually. Twings are basically stuff you keep at a certain level. like you get the best drops for a certain level before that, and then they were often used for PvP stuff before PvP started giving experience. Because you would be super strong and you could get overpowered enchants on stuff even on low level, and that was really nasty. Like, to the point where you would do something like a level 19 or level 20 twig and super, like, equip them super strongly, and then you could go into battlegrounds on that level and one-shot people consistently. But similarly, you can use the same and just equip an ult to be stronger at the start. And I will likely try to use that where I can. Once I get this character a bit up and we do other stuff, we might get some world drops. Like not here, for example, but for example here, look at this. This is a weapon at level 10. Like right now this is still not good stuff, but stuff like this, 2 stats increase, like there's good options that you can use to equip other characters, and then that will make leveling easier and quicker, hopefully. Obviously it won't work when I do the other faction. That will just be as slow for the first character.
What can I do for you?
Have you collected 8 paws from those treacherous gnolls yet?
See you later.
Well done, Dustin. With valiant adventurers such as yourself fighting alongside the People's Militia, Westfall just might return to the prosperous breadbasket it once was. Please accept this in recognition of your tireless efforts.
Have a good one.
New belt. Where has it gone? There. Yeah, I mean, people will find ways. Once I have some gold, I can also try and buy some of those items, like from the auction house. Of course, that will be a bit expensive, but you know, there's options. This is actually... This is technically a DPS increase, but I will lose the armor from the shield, so we're gonna skip on that for now. I will keep that weapon though. And we're gonna buy some more of these.
Have a good one.
For now.
Greetings. Go with honor.
Well done, Dustin. My scout witnessed your valiant acts. You are proving yourself quite well so far.
Life bless you.
A band of vicious Defias pillagers has been seen plundering the Gold Coast Quarry, Moonbrook, and the Laxton's farmstead. The People's Militia will not stand for such behavior. Dispatch immediately, Dustin, and make the Light's presence known in Westfall. The Gold Coast Quarry is near the shore to the west of the tower. As the next step of your training, I want you to kill 15 of those foul Defias pillagers and 15 Defias looters.
Be careful.
Are you for real?
For the Alliance.
The band of wretches responsible for driving the good people of Westfall from the land call themselves the Defias Brotherhood. I need you to infiltrate this clan of thugs. We need to know who heads up the cartel and where they are hiding out. In Lakeshire, in the inn, there's a rogue by the name of Wiley who owes me a favor. Travel to Lakeshire in the Red Ridge Mountains, east of Elvin, and find out what you can.
Be careful.
I think that's a quest we'll do today. This one is further down here, maybe? Yes, there he is. Because obviously finding out more about the Defias Brotherhood seems like a good idea. Hold on, I wanna look at this person. Inspect. Because they have a glowing pickaxe. Look at this. This is a two-hand weapon. And it has fiery weapon enchant on it. That makes it stronger and does fire damage.
Well met. For the Alliance.
Nice work, human. Please accept one of these items as payment for all of your hard work. To agility. This one is good. More armor, more stamina.
Go with honor, friend.
And it's also green. Green is good. Alright. We'll now have to manually walk all the way back up. I could theoretically, I can yeah, hold on. Let's take the flight path back to Stormwind.
Hey there.
And that saves us a little
See
bit
you
of the
later.
trip. But I will still have to go through the whole area of Elven again, because we're going to need to go all the way through here, over into the next region, Red Ridge Mountains, where you haven't been yet. So we'll get to get a sneak peek at the next zone. We're also unfortunately about to reach the end of our rested experience. Yeah, just a little sneak peek. Look where this guy is. That's Simi, that's the Shadow Priest that helped me out last time with Hogger. He's in a place called Karazhan. That name might be familiar. It's unfortunately still a while off, because while the area itself is here, that's still relatively high level. And the place itself is a level 70 raid. But still, only 6 more levels and I will have a mount. That's pretty big. Also, while we're in Goldshire, let's check the Paladin Trainer if we can learn any new spells. Because getting any new abilities would be a nice start. Paladin guy was around here.
What can I do for you?
Right, we can get Blessing of Wisdom. That's a good one to have for healers. And we can get another upgrade to Holy Light, which will once again more than like double the healing, but it will also cost 110 mana instead of just 60. So it's a payoff. Hello, Zoro. Welcome in. Thank you for the raid. And we can learn a taunt. That's something I won't really need at the moment because everything is already attacking me.
Light bless you.
Yes, Karazhan. Let's put Blessing of Wisdom up here. And we can replace that. I still want to keep like the... I think I should have enough that we can put the rank 2 there now instead of the rank 1. Fortunately, this is going to be a trek. But we should be able to get a new flight point in Lakeshire when we're there. So if I have to return in the future, it will be easier. Also, I did go ahead and I did complete the Rogue quest for this section. I still need to complete the others. If I want to finish that area fully. But yeah, that other project will be more like recorded videos that I will edit together. It's a bit more directly inspired by what Shax is doing, but a different expansion. Yeah, just like I currently have like an hour and a half of footage for the first zone that I went through. And then I can skip out, like I can edit out a bit of the running between spots, compile stuff like mob kills for a quest together, just so that it's not as boring. And like record a voiceover after I have everything set up, because I haven't, like I have, of course I have the game audio with it, but I didn't record any voice at the time. So it's not like a live stream where I'm constantly talking and commentating. I just did the stuff in the zone that I needed and then I recorded that part. But it's like I now have to pick out the good parts of that hour and a half. I will probably keep stuff like the cutscenes. And maybe stuff like the quest turn-ins or any... Because it's like an same as Shax does, where the collecting is the important part. I will probably keep in any stuff that ATT updates. But... before I can edit all of that together, I need to work out the logo for like the whole thing, as well as like a little intro that I can put in front of the actual video then. I have some ideas for it, but the difficult part will be setting it up. Alright, we're almost in Red Ridge. There's more copper. Will not be accepting any of these quests for now, because that is all later. Oh yeah, there's like stuff I got here already, technically. But yeah, the zone is mostly named like this because it's very red. The rocks and everything is a bit more reddish here compared to others. And here you have a little spot with a flying master. That's important to have.
Well met. Have a good one.
And the little bridge that is currently in the process of being repaired, as you can see. And a little town with like... It's a big lake as well. You know what I want to check? Do I have like... viewing distance? I'll put that up. Then I can see a little further maybe. Who knows? Anyway. Our target is somewhere in here. I think they might be in here. A town hall, but I might be wrong. I appear to be wrong. Then maybe in the tavern. I mean, it's certainly in here. I think it might be upstairs. There he is. Wiley the Black.
Greetings.
So, Stout Mantle sent you? Well, I owe him.
Be careful.
What I'm about to tell you could cost me my life. The Defiers gang is up to something big. Last I heard, they were working in conjunction with various gnolls, kobolds, and even goblins. Take this note to Stout Mantle. It explains as much as I know on the subject.
For the Alliance.
And yes, that's all we came here for. Stout Mantle. Some nerve sending a total stranger to discuss the Defiers gang. Once you saved my life and now you put it in great peril. But I owe you. The Defiers Brotherhood is larger than you think. Every mine from Westfall to Elven Forest is under their control. Kobolds and gnolls have been enlisted to do their dirty work. They have goblins crafting metal monsters to place in the Westfall fields to prey on the superstitions of the local residents. They have a vast underground network built, bigger than you know, Stout Mantle, from Booty Bay right to Stormwind Keep. You may be a brave paladin, but you are a fool if you think you can shut them down. They are working on a weapon of mass destruction. After all, if there's one thing stonemasons know, it's how to build big. You didn't think this was about pumpkin farms and vineyards, now did you? I repaid your favor. Now leave me be. So apparently, the Defiers Brotherhood has something to do with stonemasons? Right. we can now take the flight path right back to Westfall. Because,
Hello.
if I look on the map, I can of course go to Stormwind, but I can also go
Farewell.
directly to Sentinel Hill. So now I don't have to run back. And flight paths are a little faster than manually walking. Also, it seems like we might be taking another little excursion into a different zone. We are riding the edge. It's a big tree. It keeps switching between this map and Duskwood map, which is funny because I haven't seen anything of Duskwood yet, so we know nothing. And now we're back in Westfall. Still have about half the map to explore. Alright, let's turn this quest in. Let's see if he gives me anything else I can do now.
Need help? Go with honor, friend.
Good to see you back, Dustin. What did Wiley have to say for himself?
Light bless you.
Bah, I should have let that scoundrel rot when I had the chance. But this information is crucial. Good work.
Be careful.
I wonder what Wiley meant when he mentioned the stonemasons. Perhaps that was a slip of the tongue. Could the Defias gang be related to the stonemasons? Only one man would know for sure. Matthias Shaw, head of SI-7. Show him Wiley's note and see if he has anything to add to this growing mystery. If you have trouble finding Shaw, check the barracks in Old Town.
For the Alliance.
Okay. Journey continues. It seems like we're going back to Stormwind.
How are you? See you around.
Luckily, I can go with a flight path there too. We can scout ahead a little. Old Town is over here, so somewhere in this area. So not too far from the flight point, really. But yeah, this sends you a little back and forth. As it does. So. Let's find Matthias Shaw. Barracks would be down here. Look, SI7. That's exactly what we're looking for. Oh, he's upstairs.
King's honor, friend.
Welcome to SI7 headquarters.
Go with honor, friend.
What business do you have with me? I am a very busy man.
For the Alliance.
This matter might be more complex than Stout Metal realizes.
Light bless you.
The Stonemasons Guild was run by a man named Edwin Van Cleave. Van Cleave was responsible for rebuilding Stormwind after the Orcs razed it in the First War. Apparently, Van Cleave and his men were unhappy with their treatment by the king after the reconstruction was complete. That just might explain a thing or two. I have written a more detailed account for your master in Westfall. Take this to him at once.
Be careful.
Led by Edwin Van Cleave, the Stonemasons Guild was composed of the most skilled builders among men. The Stonemasons helped to rebuild the broken city of Stormwind that was razed by the Orcs during the First War. Van Cleave and his tradesmen were peerless builders, and their work and artistry was evident in the edifices of the Cathedral of Light and Stormwind Keep itself. However, the nobles of Stormwind ran up a huge debt by expanding the kingdom's military presence through Elvin and into Stranglethorn. The massive debt crippled the kingdom's economy and stripped Van Cleave and the Stonemasons of their promised rewards. After spending years toiling to rebuild the glorious city, the Stonemasons were left broke, forgotten by the city's corrupt officials. Having personally known Edwin Van Cleave my entire life, I can tell you that facing him as a foe is quite a daunting task. You see, he was my childhood friend, and I personally trained him in the ways of the shadows, thinking that one day he might consider a career alongside me. If Van Cleave is heading up the Defiers Brotherhood, may the late have mercy on our souls. And that the plot thickens. So yeah, Stormwind was destroyed in the First War with the Orcs, but they rebuilt this. And then they apparently did pay their builders. Awesome decision. You know what? I'm going to use the Hearthstone here. And we'll turn this in quickly. And then we go over to story time. Because it's time for chapters 9 and 10. There might also still... Yeah, it looks like a great place to live, but you know, if you will rebuild this from ground zero and then you didn't get paid for it, like, you would also not be very happy about that. Like, at all.
Light be with you. For the Alliance.
Did Master Shaw shed any light on things?
Be careful.
Edwin Van Cleave. I know the name well. To think that a man so industrious and talented could turn into such a scoundrel unnerves me. I'll need further proof before I believe this.
Light bless you.
We need to discover the location of the Defiance hideout, Dustin. My scout reports that a Defiance messenger has been seen on the roads between Moonbrook, the Gold Coast Quarry, and Jangolode Mine. I want you to capture him. If he resists, kill him and bring me whatever he is carrying.
Go with honor, friend.
Okay. That is actually a quest that will... That's also a stronger one. I don't know what level he is, but it's somewhere along this road here. Alright. We'll sit down in the inn. I'll set everything up and then we'll start after the ad break. We'll take our spot by the stove again. Right, now I just have to wait for the ad break to be over. Obviously, the story culminates kind of in the dungeon. I might have to try and see if Simi has time next Thursday to carry me through that so we can see the story and I don't have to bother with other people for it. Well, we'll see. Because the issue is that dungeon was later remade in the later expansion, so I do have to do this on this server to see the previous version. How about the fuck no? But yeah, we are currently on page 125 in the book. Which, you know, still a lot to go. Yeah, that's for sure. Alright. Now it is time to read. Yeah. Chapter 9. They were dying all around him. Everywhere he looked, Brock saw his comrades dying. Gano, with whom he had grown up, who was practically a brother, fell next. His body hacked to pieces by the screaming blade of a towering, fiery form with a hellish horned face full of jagged teeth. The demon itself was slain moments later by Brox, who leapt upon it, and with a cry that made even the fearsome creature hesitate, cleaved Garnu's killer in two despite its blazing armor. But the legion kept coming, and the orcs grew fewer. Barely a handful of defenders remained, yet every minute another perished in the onslaught. Thrall had commanded that the way be blocked, that the legion would not break through. Help was being gathered, but the horde needed time. They needed Brox and his fellows. But there were fewer and fewer. Dunn suddenly dropped, his head bouncing along the blood-soaked ground several seconds before his torso collapsed in a heap. Fessar already lay dead, his remains all but unrecognizable. He had been enveloped in a wave of unnatural green flame belched by one of the demons, flame that had not so much burnt his body, but dissolved it. Again and again, Brox's sturdy axe laid waste to his horrific foes, never seemingly the same kind of creature twice. Yet whenever he wiped the sweat from his brow and stared ahead, all he saw were more. And more and more. Now, only he stood against them. Stood against a shrieking, hungry sea of monsters hell-bent on the destruction of everything. And as they fell upon the lone survivor, Brox awoke. The orc shivered in his cage, but not from cold. After more than 1,000 repetitions, he would have thought himself immune to the terrors his subconscious resurrected. Yet each time the nightmares came, they did so with new intensity, new pain, new guilt. Brox should have died then. He should have died with his comrades. But they had given the ultimate sacrifice for the horde, but he had survived, had lived on. It was not right. I'm a coward, he thought once more. If I had fought harder, I'd be with them. But even though he had told this to Thrall, the war chief had shook his head and said, "No one fought harder, my old friend. The scars are there. The scouts saw you battle as they approached. You did your comrades, your people, as good a service as those who perished." Brox had accepted Thrall's gratitude, but never the horde leader's words. Now here he was, pent up like a pig waiting to be slaughtered for these arrogant creatures. They stared at him as if he had grown 2 heads and marveled at his ugliness. Only the young female, the shaman, had shown him respect and care. In her he sensed the power that his own people talked about, the old way of magic. She had healed the fiery wound that her friend had caused him with but a prayer to the moon. Truly she was gifted, and Brox felt honored that he had been given her blessing. Not that it would matter in the long run. The orc had no doubt that his captors would soon decide how to execute him. What they had learned from him so far would avail them nothing. He had refused to give them any definitive information concerning his people, especially their location. True, he did not quite know himself how to reach his home, but it was better to assume that anything said concerning that might be hint enough for the Night Elves. Unlike those Night Elves who had allied themselves with the orcs, these had only contempt for outsiders, and thus were a threat to the horde. Brox rolled over as best as his bonds allowed. Another night and he would likely be dead, but not in the manner of his choosing. There would be no glorious battle, no epic song by which to remember him. "Great spirits," he muttered, "hear this unworthy one. Grant me one last struggle, one last cause. Let me be worthy." Brox stared at the sky, continuing to pray silently. But unlike the young priestess, he doubted that whatever powers watched over the world would listen to a lowly creature such as him. His fate was in a Night Elf's hands. What brought Malfurion into Suramar he could not quite say. For 3 nights he had sat alone in his home, meditating on all scenarios had told him, on all he himself had witnessed in the Emerald Dream. 3 nights and no answers to his growing concerns. He had no doubts that the spell work continued in Zinajari, and that the situation would only grow more desperate the longer no one acted. But no one else even seemed to notice any problem. Perhaps, Malfurion finally decided, he had journeyed to Suramar simply to find some other voice, some other mind with which to discuss his inner dilemma. For that he had chosen to seek out Tyrande, though not his twin. She gave more care to her thoughts, whereas Illidan had a tendency to leap into action regardless of whether or not he had hatched any plan. Yes, Tyrande would be good to talk with. and just to see. Yet, as he headed in the direction of the Temple of Elune, a large contingent of riders suddenly bore down from the other direction. Edging to the side of the street, Malfurion watched as several soldiers in grey-green armor rushed by on their sleek, well-groomed panthers. Held high near the front of the party was a square banner of rich purple with the black avian form at the center. The banner of Lord Cortalos Ravencrest. The elven commander rode at the forefront, his mount larger, sleeker, and clearly the dominant female of the pack. Ravencrest himself was tall, lanky, and quite regal. He rode as if nothing would deter him from his duty, whatever that might be. A billowing cloak of gold trailed behind him, and his high, red-crested helm was marked by the very symbol of his name. Avian also best described his features: long, narrow, his nose a downward beak. His tufted beard and stern eyes gave him an appearance of both wisdom and might. Outside of the Highborn, Ravencrest was considered one of those with the most influence with the Queen, who in the past had often taken his counsel. Malfurion cursed himself for not having thought of Ravencrest before, but now was not a good opportunity to speak with the noble. Ravencrest and his elite guard rode along as if on some mission of tremendous urgency, which made Malfurion immediately wonder if his fears about Zinajari had already materialized. Yet, if that had been the case, he doubted that the rest of the city would have remained so calm. The force at that plain near the capital surely presaged a disaster of monumental proportions, quickly affecting even Suramar. As the riders vanished, Malfurion moved on. So many people clustered into one area made the young night elf feel a bit claustrophobic after his lengthy period in the forest. Still, Malfurion fought down the sensation, knowing that soon he would see Tyrande. As anxious as she made him feel of late, she also calmed his spirit more than anything else could, even his meditations. He knew he would have to see his brother too, but the idea did not appeal to him so much this night. It was Tyrande he wanted to see, with whom he wanted to spend some time. Illidan would still be there for him later. Vaguely, Malfurion noted the number of people crowded around something in the square, but his desire to see Tyrande made him quickly ignore the scene. He hoped that she would be readily available, and that he would not have to go asking one acolyte after another. While the initiates of Elune were not bothered by friends and relatives desiring to speak with one of them, for some reason Malfurion felt more anxious about it than usual. It had little to do with his concerns about Zinajari either, and more to do with the odd discomfort he now felt whenever he was near his childhood friend. As he entered the temple, a pair of guards surveyed him. Instead of robes, they wore gleaming silver breastplates and kilts, the former marked by a crescent moon design at the center. Like all of Elune's initiates, they were females and well versed in the arts of defense and battle. Tyrande herself was a better archer than either Malfurion or Illidan. The peaceful teachings of the Mother Moon did not preclude her most loyal children learning to protect themselves. "May we help you, brother?" the foremost guard asked politely. She and the others stood at attention, their spears ready to turn on him at a moment's warning. "I come seeking the novice priestess, Tyrande. She and I are good friends. My name is..." "Malfurion Stormrage," finished the second, nearer to his age. She smiled. "Tyrande shares novice chambers with myself and 2 others. I have seen you with her on occasion. Is it possible to speak with her?" "If she is finished with her meditation, then she should be free this hour. I will have someone ask. You may wait in the Chamber of the Moon." The Chamber of the Moon was the official title of the roofless center of the temple, where many of the great rituals took place. When not in use by the High Priestess, the temple encouraged everyone to make use of its tranquil environment. Malfurion felt the touch of the Mother Moon the moment he entered the rectangular chamber. A garden of night-blooming flowers bordered the room, and in the center stood a small dais where the High Priestess spoke. The circular stone path leading to the dais was a mosaic pattern, outlining the yearly cycles of the moon. Malfurion had noted from his past few visits that no matter where the moon floated in the heavens, its soft light completely illuminated the chamber. He strolled to the center and sat on one of the stone benches used by initiates and faithful. Although eased much by his surroundings, Malfurion's patience quickly deteriorated as he waited for Tyrande. He also worried that she might be displeased by his sudden appearance. In the past they had always met only after making prior arrangements. This was the first time that he had been so bold as to intrude without warning into her world. Malfurion. For a moment, all his concerns vanished as he looked up and saw Tyrande step into the moonlight. Her silver robes took on a mystical glow, and in his eyes the Mother Moon could have looked no more glorious a sight. Tyrande's hair hung loose, draping her exquisite face and ending just above her décolletage. The nighttime illumination emphasized her eyes, and when the novice priestess smiled, she herself seemed to light up the chamber of the moon. As Tyrande walked toward him, Malfurion belatedly rose to meet her. He was certain that his cheeks flushed, but there was nothing he could do about it save hope that Tyrande did not notice. "Is all well with you?" the novice asked with sudden concern. "Has something happened?" "I'm fine. I hope I haven't intruded." Her smile returned, more arresting than ever. "You could never intrude upon me, Malfurion. In fact, I'm very glad you've come. I wanted to see you too." If she had not noticed his darkening cheeks before, she certainly had to now. Nevertheless, Malfurion passed on. "Tyrande, can we take a walk outside the temple?" "If that makes you more comfortable, yes." As they departed the chamber, he began. "You know how I said I've had some recurring dreams?" "I remember." "I spoke with Cenarius about them after you and Illidan departed, and we took measures to try to understand why they keep repeating." Her tone grew concerned. "And did you discover anything?" Malfurion nodded, but held his tongue as they passed 2 sentries and exited the temple. Not until the pair had started down the outer steps did he continue. "I've progressed, Tyrande. Progressed far more than either you or Illidan realized. Cenarius showed me a path into the world of the mind itself. The Emerald Dream, he called it. But it was more than that. Through it, I was able to see the real world as I never had before." Tyrande's gaze shifted to the small crowd near the center of the square. "And what did you see?" He turned Tyrande to face him, needing her to understand utterly what he had discovered. "I saw Zinashari and the well over which it looks." Leaving nothing out, Malfurion described the scene and the unsettling sensations he had experienced. He described his attempts to understand the truth and how his dream self had been repulsed after attempting to see exactly what had transpired with the Highborn and the Queen. Tyrande stared wordlessly at him, clearly as stunned as he had been by his ominous discovery. Finding her voice, she asked, "The Queen? Ajara? Can you be certain?" "Not entirely. I never actually saw much inside, but I can't imagine how such madness could go on without her knowledge. True, Lord Xavius has great influence over her, but even she would never stand by blindly. I have to think that she knows the risks they take, but I don't think any of them understand how terrible those risks are. The well, if you could have felt what I had when I walked the Emerald Dream, Tyrande, you would have feared as much as I did." She put a hand on his arm in an attempt to comfort him. "I don't question you, Malfurion, but we need to know more. To claim that Ajara would put her subjects in danger, you have to tread lightly on this." "I thought to approach Lord Ravencrest on the subject. He too has influence with her." "That might be wise." Again her eyes moved to the center of the square. Malfurion almost said something, but instead followed her gaze, wondering what could constantly drag her attention from his revelations. Most of those who had gathered had wandered away, finally revealing to him what he had paid no mind to earlier. A guarded cage, and in it some creature not at all like a night elf. "What is that?" he asked with a growing frown. "What I wanted to talk with you about, Malfurion. His name is Broxigar, and he's unlike any being I've ever heard or seen. I know your tale is important, but I want you to meet him now as a favor for me." As Tyrande led him over, Malfurion noticed the guards become alert. To surprise, after a moment of staring at his companion, they suddenly fell to one knee in homage. "Welcome again, sister," uttered one. "You honor us with your presence." Tyrande was clearly embarrassed by such respect. Please rise." When they had obeyed, she asked, "What news on him?" "Lord Ravencrest has assumed control of the situation," answered another guard. Even now he is out inspecting the location of the capture in search of more evidence and possible incursions, but when he returns it's said that he intends to interrogate the prisoner personally. That means that by tomorrow, it's likely the creature will be transported into the cells of Blackrook Hold. Blackrook Hold was the vault domain of Lord Ravencrest, a veritable fortress. That the guard was so free with its information surprised Malfurion until we realized how odd the soldier was by Tyrande. True, she was an initiate of Elune, but something must have happened that made her of particular importance to these soldiers. Tyrande looked perturbed by the revelation. This interrogation, what will it entail? The guard could no longer look at her directly. It entails whatever satisfies Lord Ravencrest, sister. The priestess did not press further. Her hand, which had lightly rested on Malfurion's arm, momentarily squeezed tight. May we speak with him? For only a moment, sister, but I must ask you to speak so that we can hear you. You understand? I do. Tyrande led Malfurion to the cell where they both knelt. Malfurion bit back a gasp of astonishment. Up close, the hulking figure inside truly amazed him. He had learned of many strange and unusual creatures during his time with Cenarius, but never had he been taught of such a being as this. Shaman, he muttered in a deep, rumbling and pained voice. Tyrande leaned closer, obviously concerned. Broxigar, are you ill? No, Shaman, just remembering. He did not explain further. Broxigar, I've brought a friend with me. I'd like you to meet him. His name is Malfurion. If he's your friend, Shaman, I'm honored. Shifting nearer, Malfurion forced a smile. Hello, Broxigar. Broxigar is an orc, Malfurion. He nodded. I've never heard of an orc before. The chained figure snorted. I know of night elves. You fought beside us against the Legion. But alliances fade in peace, it seems. His words made no sense, yet they stirred within Malfurion a new anxiety. How did you come to be here, Broxigar? The shaman may call me Broxigar. To you, only Brox. He exhaled, then stared intently at Tyrande. Shaman, you asked me about the last time, and I wouldn't tell. I owe you, though. Now I tell you what I told these. Brox made a derogatory gesture toward the nearby guards and their masters, but you'll believe me no more than they did. The orc's tale began fantastic and grew even more so with each breath. He was careful not to speak of his people or where they lived, only that at the command of his war chief, he and another had journeyed to the mountains to investigate an unsettling rumor. There they had found what the orc could only describe as a hole in the world, a hole that swallowed all matter as it moved relentlessly along. It had swallowed Brox and ripped his companion apart. And Malfurion, listening, began to relive his own sense of dread. Each new revelation by the orc fueled that dread, and more than once the Night Elf found himself thinking of the Well of Eternity and the power drawn from it by the Highborn. Certainly the magic of the well could create such a horrific vortex. But it could not be, Malfurion insisted to himself. Surely this could have nothing to do with Zinajari. They aren't that mad. Are they? But as Brox continued, as he spoke of the vortex and the things he had seen and heard as he tumbled through it, it became harder and harder for Malfurion to deny the possibility of some link. Worse, without knowing how it struck the Night Elf, the orc's impression mirrored what Malfurion had felt when his astral self had floated above the palace and the well. A wrongness, the orc said. A thing that should not be, he added at another stage. These and other descriptions struck Malfurion like well-honed daggers. He did not even realize when Brock's tale had ended, his mind swept up by the truth of it all. Tyrande had to squeeze his arm to regain his attention. Are you alright, Malfurion? You look as if chilled. I'm fine. To Brox he asked, You told this story to Lord Ravencrest? The orc looked uncertain, but the guard responded, Aye, that's what he told, almost word for word. The soldier gave a harsh bark of a laugh. And Lord Ravencrest believed it as little as you now. Come tomorrow, he'll pull the truth from this beast. And if he has friends nearby, they'll find us not so tempting a target, eh? So an invasion by orcs was all that Ravencrest suspected. Malfurion felt disappointed. He doubted that the elven commander would see the possible link between his encounter and Brox's tale. In fact, the more he thought of it, the more Malfurion doubted Ravencrest would believe him at all. Here Malfurion was, ready to tell the noble that their beloved queen might be involved in reckless spell work with the potential to bring disaster upon her people. The young night elf barely believed it himself. If only he had more proof. The guard began shifting anxiously. Sister, I'm afraid I must ask you and your companion to depart now. Our captain will be coming shortly. I really shouldn't have. Quite alright, I understand. As they started to rise, Brox moved to the front of the cell, one hand reaching toward Tyrande. Shaman, one last blessing if you could grant it. Of course. As she knelt again, Malfurion desperately pondered what he should do. Properly, any suspicions should have been reported to Lord Ravencrest, but somehow that seemed a futile act. If he could consult with Cenarius, but by then the orc might be... Cenarius. Malfurion glanced at Tyrande and Brox, a fateful decision coming to mind. Bidding the orc farewell, Tyrande rose again. Malfurion took her by the arm, and the two thanked the guard for their time. The young priestess's expression grew perturbed as they left, but Malfurion said nothing, his own thoughts still racing. There must be something that can be done, she finally whispered. What do you mean? Tomorrow they will take him to Blackrock Hold. Once in there Tyrande faltered. I have every respect for Lord Ravencrest, but... Malfurion only nodded. I spoke with Mother Dejana, the High Priestess, but she says there's nothing we can do but pray for his spirit. She commended me for my sympathy, but suggested I let matters take their course. Let them take their course. Malfurion muttered, staring ahead. He gritted his teeth. It had to be done now. There could be no turning back, not if his fears had any merit. Turn here, he suddenly commanded, steering her down a side avenue. We need to see Illidan. Illidan? But why? Taking a deep breath and thinking of the orc and the well, Malfurion simply replied, because we're going to let matters take their own course. With our guidance, that is. Xavier stood before the fiery sphere, staring into the gaping hole in its midst in rapt attention. Deep, deep within, the eyes of his god stared back, and the two communed. I've heard your pleas, he said to the counselor, and know your dreams. A world cleansed of the impure, the imperfect. I would grant your desire, you the first among my faithful. His gaze never wavering, Xavier knelt. The other Highborn continued working their sorcery, trying to expand upon what they had created. You will come to us then? The Night Elf responded, artificial eyes flaring in anticipation. You will come to our world and make it so? The way is not yet open. It must be strengthened, for it must be able to withstand my glorious entrance. The counselor nodded his understanding. So magnificent, so powerful a force as the god would be too much for the Night Elf's feeble portal to accept. The god's sheer presence would rip it asunder. It had to be made larger, stronger, and more permanent. That his supposed deity could not perform this task himself, Xavier did not question. He was too caught up in the wonder of his new master. What can be done, he pleaded. Try as they might, the highborn sorcerers had reached the limits of their knowledge and skills, Xavier's included. I will send one of my lesser hosts to guide you. He may pass through to your world, with effort, but you must prepare yourselves for his coming. Almost leaping to his feet, the Night Elven Lord commanded. Let no one stumble in his efforts. We are to be blessed with the presence of one of his favored. The Highborn redoubled their efforts, the chamber crackling with raw, fearsome energy drawn directly from the well. Outside, the skies roared furiously, and anyone looking upon the great black lake itself would have turned their gaze away in fear. The fireball within the pattern swelled, the gap in the center opening like a wide, savage mouth. What sounded like a million voices wailing filled the chamber. Music took Xavier's ears. But then one of the Highborn faltered. Fearing the worst, Xavier pushed himself into the circle, adding his own might and skill to the effort. He He would not fail his god. He would not. Yet at first it seemed he and the rest would. The portal strained, but did not grow. Xavius concentrated the full force of his determination upon it, finally forcing the gap wider. And then, a wondrous blinding light forced the assembled Highborn back. Despite their astonishment, though, they somehow kept up their efforts. From deep within, an odd-looking form coalesced. At first it stood no more than a few inches tall, but as it swiftly moved toward them, it grew, and grew, and grew. The strain took its toll on more of the spellcasters. Two collapsed, one barely breathing. The others teetered, yet once again, under Xavier's manic control, they regained power over the portal. Suddenly, the eerie cries of hounds shook them all. Only the counselor, with his eyes unnatural, saw what first emerged from the gateway. The beasts were the size of horses and had low set horns that curled down and forward. Their scaly hides were colored a deathly crimson, accented by savage splatterings of black, and on their backs fluttered a crest of wild shaggy brown fur. They were lean but muscular hunters, each three-toed paw ending in sharp claws more than half a foot long. Each creature had back legs slightly shorter than the front, but Xavius had no doubt as to the beast's speed and agility. Even their slightest movements suggested hunters well skilled in bringing down their prey. Atop their backs thrust two long, whip-like leathery tentacles that ended in tiny sucker mouths. The tentacles swayed back and forth, seeming to focus with eagerness on the assembled sorcerers. The face most resembled some peculiar cross between a wolf and a reptile. From the long savage jaws jutted scores of tall, sharp teeth. The eyes were narrow and completely white, but filled with a sinister cunning that implied these were no mere animals. Then, from behind them stepped the towering figure of their master. He wore body armor of molten steel, and in his huge gauntleted hand he wielded a whip that flashed lightning whenever used. His chest and shoulders, so much wider than the rest of his torso, dwarfed those of even the mightiest warrior. Wherever the armor did not hide his form, pure flame radiated from his scaled, fleshless, and unearthly body. Set deep in the broad shoulders, the flaming visage peered down at the night elves. That it most resembled a brooding skull with huge curled horns did nothing to dissuade the Highborn that he was a heavenly messenger sent to aid them in their dream of a perfect paradise. "Now that I am the servant of your god," he hissed, the flames that were his eyes flashing hot whenever he spoke. "Come to help you open the way for his host and his most glorious self." One of the beasts howled, but a snap of the whip sent lightning crackling over the creature, instantly silencing it. "I am the Houndmaster," the massive skeletal knight continued, fiery gaze fixing most upon the kneeling counselor. "I am Hakar." Let me take a quick moment, because that is chapter 9. We're waiting out the ad break. Yeah. So, Hakar. From the description, he doesn't exactly sound pleasing to look at, which, you know, doesn't bode well for what the Night Elves are trying to summon. I would say. Alright. Almost back. Alright. Chapter 10. At last, Ronan awoke. He did so with reluctance, for throughout his magical slumber, his mind had been filled with dreams. Most of those dreams had revolved around Verisa and the coming twins, but unlike the sinister keep, These were happy visions of a light he once thought to have. Waking up only served to remind him that he might not live to see his family. Ronan opened his eyes to one familiar, if not so welcome sight. Krasus leaned over him, mild concern his expression. That only aggravated the human, for, in his mind, it was the Dragon Mage's fault that he was here. At first, Ronan wondered why his eyesight seemed a bit dim, but then he realized that he looked at Krasus not in the light of the sun, but rather by a very full moon. The moon illuminated the glade with an intensity that was not at all natural. Curiosity growing, he started to rise, only to have his body scream from stiffness. Slowly, Ronan. You have slept more than a day. Your body needs a minute or two to join you in waking. Where the young wizard peered around. I remember this glade, being carried toward it. We have been the guests of its master since our arrival. We are not in any danger, Ronan, but I must tell you immediately that we are also unable to depart. Sitting up, Ronan gazed at the area. He sensed some presence around them, but nothing that hinted they were trapped here. Still, he had never known Krasus to invent stories. What happens if we try to leave? His companion pointed at the rows of flowers. They will stop us. They? The plants? You may trust me on this, Ronan. While a part of him was tempted to see exactly what the flowers would do, Ronan chose not to take any chances. Krasus said that they were not in any danger so long as they stayed where they were. However, now that both of them were conscious, perhaps they could devise some manner of escape. His stomach rumbled. Ronan recalled that he had slept a day and more without eating. Before he could comment, Krasus handed him a bowl of fruit and a jug of water. The human devoured the fruit quickly, and although it did not satiate his hunger completely, at least his stomach no longer disturbed him. Our host has not delivered any sustenance since early in the day. I expect him shortly, especially as he likely already knows that you are awake. He does? Not something Ronan liked hearing. Their captor sounded too much in control. Who is he? Krasus suddenly looked uncomfortable. His name is Cenarius. Do you recall it? Cenarius. It struck a chord, albeit barely. Cenarius. Something from his studies, but not directly tied to magic. The name made him think of stories, myths of a woodland god? Ronan's gaze narrowed. Were the guests of a forest deity? A demigod, to be exact, which still makes him a force that even my kind respect. Cenarius. You speak of me, and I am here, chortled a voice from everywhere. I bid you welcome, one called Ronan. Coalescing from the moonlight itself, a huge inhuman figure, half-elf, half-stag, stepped forward. He towered even over the tall, lanky Krasus. Ronan stared openly in awe at the antlers, the bearded visage, and the unsettling body. You slept long, young one, so I doubt that the food brought earlier was sufficient for your hunger. He gestured behind them. There's more for the two of you now. Ronan glanced over his shoulder. Where the emptied bowl of fruit had sat there now stood another, this one filled high. In addition, a thick piece of meat, cooked just to the wizard's liking if the aroma indicated anything, lay on a wooden platter next to the bowl. Ronan had no doubt that the jug had also been refilled. I thank you, he began, trying not to be distracted by the nearby meal. But what I really wanted to do is ask, the time for questions will be coming. For now, I'd be remiss if you did not eat. Krasus took Ronan by the arm. With a nod of his head, the wizard joined his former mentor, and the pair ate their fill. Ronan hesitated at first when it came to the meat, not because he did not want it, but because it surprised him that a forest dweller such as Cenarius would sacrifice a creature under his care for two strangers. The demigod read his curiosity. Each animal, each being, serves many purposes. They are all part of the cycle of the forest. That includes the necessity of food. You are like the bear or wolf, both of whom hunt freely in my domain. Nothing is wasted here. Everything returns to feed new growth. The deer upon which you now feed will be reborn to serve its role again, its sacrifice forgotten to it. Ronan frowned, not quite following Cenarius' explanation, but knowing better tend to ask him to clarify it. The demigods saw both intruders as predators and had fed them accordingly. That was that. When they were finished, the wizard felt much improved. He opened his mouth with the intention of pressing on the matter of their captivity, but Cenarius spoke first. You should not be here. Neither Ronan nor Krasus knew how to answer. Cenarius paced the glade. I've conversed with the others, discussed you at length, learned what they know, and we all agreed that you are not meant to be here. You are out of place, but in what way, we've yet to determine. Perhaps I can explain, Krasus interjected. He still looked weak to Ronan, but not so much as when they had first materialized in this time. Perhaps you can, agreed the young wizard. The dragon mage glanced at his companion. Ronan saw no reason to hold back the truth. Cenarius appeared to be the first being that they had come across who might have been of existence to them. But the story that Krasus passed on to the host was not the one the human expected. We come from a land across the sea. Far across, but that is unimportant. What is of significance is the reason why we ended here. In Krasus' revised tale, it was he, not Nostormu, who had uncovered the rift. The dragon mage described it as not as a tear in time, but as an anomaly that had upset the fabric of reality, potentially creating greater and greater catastrophe. He had summoned the one other spellcaster he trusted, Ronan, and the pair had traveled to where Krasus had sensed the trouble. We journeyed to a chain of stark peaks in the bitter north of our land, there being where I sensed it strongest. We came across it, and the monstrous thing it spewed out at random. The wrongness of it struck us both hard, but when we sought to investigate closer, it moved, enveloping us. We were cast out of our land, and into the domain of the Night Elves, the demigod completed. Yes, Krasus said with a nod. Ronan added nothing, and hoped his expansion did not betray his companion. In addition to Krasus' omissions concerning their true origin, the wizard's former mentor left out one other item of possible interest to Cenarius. He had made no mention of being a dragon. Backing up a step, the woodland deity eyed both figures. Ronan could not read his expression. Did he believe Krasus' altered story, or did he suspect that his guest had not been completely forthcoming with him? This bears immediate discussion with the others, Cenarius finally declared, staring off into the distance. His gaze shifted back down to Ronan and Krasus. Your needs will be dealt with during my absence, and then we shall speak again. Before either could say anything, the Lord of the Forest melted into moonlight, leaving them once more alone. That was futile, Ronan growled. Perhaps, but I would like to know who these others are. More demigods like himself? Seems the most likely. Why didn't you tell him about your... The dragon mage gave him such a sharp glare that Ronan faltered. In a much quieter tone, Krasus replied, I am a dragon without strength, my young friend. You have no idea what that feels like. No matter who Cenarius is, I wish that to remain secret until I understand why I cannot recover. And the rest of the story? Krasus looked away. Ronan, I mentioned to you that we might be in the past. I understand that. My memories are as scattered as my strength is depleted. I do not know why. However, one thing I have been able to recall based on what was told me during your induced slumber, I know now when we are. Spirits rising, Ronan blurted. But that's good. It gives us an anchor of sorts. Now we can determine who best. Please let me finish. Krasus' dour expression did not bode well. There's very good reason why I altered our story as much as I could. I suspect that Cenarius knew some of what was going on, especially about the anomaly. What I could not tell him are my suspicions as to what it might presage. The quieter and darker the elder mage's voice dropped, the more Ronan grew concerned. What? I fear we have arrived just prior to the first coming of the Burning Legion. He could have said nothing more horrifying to Ronan. Having lived and nearly died more than once, battling the demonic horde and its allies, The young wizard still suffered monstrous nightmares. Only Revisa understood the extent of those nightmares, she having fought through more than a few herself. It had taken both their growing love and the coming children to heal their hearts and souls, and that after several months. And now Ronan had been thrust back into the nightmares. Jumping to his feet, he said, "Then we've got to tell Cenarius. Tell everyone we can. They must not know. I fear it may already be too late to preserve matters as they once were." Also rising, Krasus stared down his long nose at his former pupil. "Ronan, as it originally happened, the Legion was defeated after a terrible, bloody war, the precursor of things to come in our own time." "Yes, of course, but..." Evidently forgetting his own concerns about the possibility of Cenarius listening in, Krasus seized Ronan by the shoulders. Despite the Elder Mage's weakness, his long fingers dug painfully into the human's flesh. "You still do not understand. Ronan, by coming here, by simply being here, we may have altered that history. We may now be responsible for the Burning Legion this time becoming the victor in this first struggle. That would mean not only the death of many innocents here, but the erasing of our own time." It had taken some convincing to make Illidan a part of Malfurion's sudden and very rash plan. Malfurion had little doubt that the deciding factor was not anything he had said, but rather Tyranda's own impassioned plea. Under her gaze, even Illidan had melted, readily agreeing to assist, even though he clearly did not care for the prisoner one bit. Malfurion knew that something had happened between his brother and the orc, something that Tyrande had also been involved in, and she used that shared experience to bring Illidan to their side. Now they had to succeed. The 4 guards stood alert, each facing a different point on the compass. The sun was only minutes from rising, and the square was empty of all save the soldiers and their charge. With most of the other night elves asleep, it was the perfect time to strike. "I'll deal with the sentries," Illidan suggested, his left hand already balled into a fist. Malfurion quickly took over. He did not question his brother's abilities, but he also wished no harm to come to the guards, who were only performing their duties. "No, I said I would take care of them. Give me a moment." Shutting his eyes, he relaxed himself as Cenarius had shown him. Malfurion receded from the world, but at the same time he saw it more clearly, more sharply. He knew exactly what he had to do. At his suggestion to them, the necessary elements of nature joined to assist his needs. A cool, tender wind caressed the face of each guard with the gentleness of a loved one. With the wind came the tranquil sense of the flowers surrounding Surama and the soothing call of a nearby night bird. The calmingly seductive combination enveloped each sentry, drawing them without their noticing into a peaceful, pleasant, and very deep lethargy that left them oblivious to the waking world. Satisfied that all 4 were under his spell, Malfurion blinked, then whispered, "Come." Illidan hesitated, only following when Tyrande stepped out into the open after his brother. The 3 of them slowly made their way toward the cage and the soldiers. Despite the certainty that his spell held, Malfurion still half expected the 4 sentries to look their way at any moment. Yet even when he and his companions stood only a few yards away, the soldiers remained ignorant of their presence. "It worked," murmured Tyrande in wonder. Stopping in front of the foremost guard, Illidan waved his hands before the watchful eyes, all to no effect. "A nice trick, brother, but for how long?" "I don't know. That's why we must hurry." Tyrande knelt down by the cage, peering inside. "I think Broxiga is also caught by your spell, Malfurion." Sure enough, the huge orc lay slumped against the back of his prison, his disinterested gaze looking past Tyrande. He made no move even when she quietly called out his name. After a moment's consideration, Malfurion suggested, "Touch him softly on the arm and try his name again. Make certain that he sees you immediately so that you can signal for silence." Illidan frowned. "He's sure to yell." "The spell will hold, Illidan, but you must be ready to do your part when the time comes." "I'm not the one who'll risk us," Malfurion's brother said with a sniff. "Be still, both of you." Reaching in, Tyrande cautiously touched the orc on his upper arm, at the same time calling out his name again. Brock started. His eyes widened and his mouth opened in what would certainly be a very deafening cry. But just as quickly he clamped his mouth shut, the only sound managing to escape being a slight grunt. The orc blinked several times, as if uncertain that the sight before him could possibly be real. Tyrande touched his hand, then, with a nod to the orc, looked into Brox's eyes again. Looking to his brother, Malfurion muttered, "Now, hurry!" Illidan reached down, at the same time whispering under his breath. As he grasped the bars, his hands flared a bright yellow, and the cage itself suddenly became framed in red energy. A slight hum arose. Malfurion glanced anxiously at the sentries, but even this wondrous display passed unnoticed by them. He exhaled in relief, then watched as Illidan worked. There were advantages to Night Elven sorcery, and his brother had learned how to wield it. The astonishing yellow glow surrounding his hands spread to the cage, rapidly enveloping the red. Sweat dripped from Illidan's forehead as he pressed his spell, but he did not falter in the least. At last, Illidan released his hold and fell back. Malfurion caught his brother before the latter could stumble into one of the sentries. Illidan's hand continued to glow for a few seconds more. "You can open the cell now, Tyrande." Releasing Brox, she touched the door of the cage, which then immediately swung open almost of its own accord. "The chains," Malfurion reminded Illidan. "Of course, brother, I've not forgotten." Squatting, Illidan reached for the orc's manacles. Brox, however, did not respond at first, eyes narrowing warily at the sight of the male night elf. Tyrande had to take his hands and guide them to her companion. With more muttered words, Malfurion's brother touched each of the bonds at the lock. The manacles snapped open like small mouths eagerly waiting to be fed. "No trouble whatsoever," Illidan remarked with an extremely pleased smile. The orc emerged slowly, his body stiff due to the cramped conditions of his cell. He curtly nodded his gratitude to Illidan, but looked to Tyrande for guidance. "Broxigar, listen carefully. I want you to go with Malfurion. He will take you to a safe place. I'll see you there later." This had been some cause of argument between Tyrande and Malfurion, the former wanting to see the orc to safety herself. Malfurion, with Illidan's more than willing assistance, had finally convinced her that there would be trouble enough when Brox was discovered missing without Tyrande, who had been seen caring for him, also vanishing. It would not be hard for the Moonguard to add the facts together. "They'll make the connection quickly," Malfurion had insisted. "You were the only one to give him aid. That's why you need to stay here. They are less than likely to think of me, and even if they do, it's doubtful that they'll blame you then. You are an initiate of Elune. That you know me is no crime with which they can label you." Although Tyrande had given in, she still did not like Malfurion taking on all the responsibility himself. True, he had been the one who had come up with the startling course of action, but it was she who had instigated everything in the first place, simply by introducing Malfurion to the imprisoned orc. Now the young priestess also asked the orc to have faith in one he did not know well. Brox studied Malfurion, then glared again at Illidan. "That one be with?" Illidan curled his lip. "I just saved your hide, beast." "Enough, Illidan. He's grateful." To Brox, Tyrande answered, "Only Malfurion. He'll take you to a place where no one will be able to find you. Please, you can trust me." Taking her hand in his huge fists, the brutish figure fell to one knee. "I trust in you, shaman." At that moment, Malfurion noticed one of the guards beginning to fidget. "It's starting to wear away," he hissed. "Illidan, take Tyrande and leave. Brox, come." With astonishing speed and grace, the massive orc leapt to his feet and followed after the night elf. Malfurion did not look behind him, praying that his druidic spell would hold long enough. For Tyrande and his brother he had little fear. Their destination was Illidan's quarters, only a short distance away. No one would suspect either of any duplicity. For Malfurion and Brox, however, the matter was different. No one would mistake the orc for anything but what he was. The two had to escape the city as fast as possible. But as they left the square and entered the winding streets of Suramar, the sound that Malfurion had feared most arose. One of the guards had finally awakened. His shouts were quickly multiplied by those of his companions, and mere seconds later the blare of a horn filled the air. "This way," he urged the orc. "I've mounts awaiting us." In truth, Malfurion need not have said anything, for the orc, despite his sturdy build, ran with at least as much swiftness as his rescuer. Had they been out in the wilderness, the Night Elf suspected Brox would have even outrun him. Everywhere, horns sounded and voices cried out. Suraba had sprung to life, much too soon for Malfurion's taste. At last the Night Elf spotted the corner for which he had been waiting. Here, they're just around here. But as they turned into the side street, Brox suddenly stumbled to a halt, the fearsome orc staring wide-eyed at the mounts Malfurion had secured. The huge panthers were black, sinewy shadows. They snarled and hissed upon first sighting the newcomers, then calmed as Malfurion approached them. He patted each on the flank. Brox shook his head. We ride these? Of course. Now hurry. The orc hesitated, but then nearby shouts urged him forward. Brox took the reins given to him and watched as Malfurion showed how to mount up. It took the former captive 3 tries to climb atop the huge cat, then another minute to learn how to sit. Malfurion kept glancing behind him, fearful that at any moment the soldiers, or worse, the Moon Guard, would arrive. He had not given any consideration to the fact that Brox might not know how to ride a lightsaber. What other beast could the orc have expected? Adjusting his position one last time, Brox reluctantly nodded. Taking a deep breath, Malfurion urged his mount onward, Brox following as best he could. In the space of but a few minutes, the Night Elf had forever changed his future. Such an audacious act might only serve to condemn him to Blackrock Hold, but Malfurion knew that he could not let this chance slip away. Somehow, Brox was linked to the disturbing work of the Highborn. And come what may, Malfurion had to find out how. He had a horrible feeling that the fate of all Kalimdor hinged upon it. Varothen had little desire to face Lord Xavius, but that choice was not his. He had been commanded to appear before the Councillor the moment his party arrived, and commands given by Lord Xavius were to be obeyed with as much urgency as if they had been made by Queen Azshara herself, perhaps even more so. The Councillor would not like the captain's report. How to explain that they had somehow been led astray, then attacked by a forest? Varothen hoped to use the late, unlamented Cortharius as a scapegoat, but doubted that his lord would accept such a pathetic offering. Varothen had been in charge, and to Lord Xavius that would be all that mattered. He did not have to ask where the Councillor could be found, for when was his master anywhere but the chamber where the spellwork took place? In truth, Captain Varothen preferred blades to sorcery, and the chamber was not his favorite place. True, he also wielded a bit of power himself, but what Lord Xavius and the Queen had in mind overwhelmed even him. The guards came to attention as he approached, but although they reacted with the respect he was due, something in their manner seemed different, almost unsettling. Almost as if they knew exactly what awaited him better than he did. The door swung open before him. Eyes down in respect, Captain Varothen entered the Highborn Sanctum, and a nightmarish beast filled his view. By a loon! Acting instinctively, he drew his curved blade. The hellish creature howled, 2 menacing tentacles above its muscled form groping eagerly toward him. The captain doubted his chances against such a monstrosity, but he would fight it as best he could. But then a hissing voice that chilled Varothen's bones to the marrow uttered something in a language unknown. A fearsome whip snapped at the beast's hunched back. Cringing, the demonic hound retreated, leaving Varothen to gape at the one who had summoned it away. His name is Hakar, Lord Xavius remarked pleasantly, appearing from the side. The fell beasts are entirely under his control. The Great One has sent him to help open the way. The Great One, my lord? To the captain's dismay, the Councillor placed an almost fatherly arm around his shoulder, guiding Varothen to the fiery sphere over the pattern. Something about the sphere looked different, giving the Night Elf the horrible sensation that if he stood close enough, it would devour him body and soul. It's all right, my good captain. Nothing to fear. He was going to be punished for his failure. If so, at least Varothen would make a declaration of his mistakes beforehand, so that he would not lose more face. My Lord Xavius, the captives were lost. The forest turned against us. But the Councillor only smiled. You will be given the opportunity to redeem yourself in good time, Captain. First, you must understand the glorious truth. My lord, I don't... He got no further, his eyes snared. You understand now, Xavius remarked. His false eyes narrowed in satisfaction. Varothan sensed the god, sensed how the wondrous presence peeled away every layer that was the captain. The god within the fiery sphere looked into the deepest depths of Varothan, and radiated pleasure with what he found there. You too will serve me well. And Varothan fell to one knee, honoring the one who honored him so. He will be coming to us soon, Captain, Lord Xavius explained as the soldier rose. But so magnificent is he, that the way must be strengthened in order to accept his overwhelming presence. He has sent this noble guardian to open the path for others of his host, others who will in turn guide our efforts in strengthening the vortex, and bringing about the fruition of all our dreams. Vareth then nodded, feeling both pleased and ashamed. My lord, my failure to capture those strangers I found near the site of the disruption. Let me log back in. Hate when that happens. He was interrupted by the hissing voice of Hakar. Your failure is mute. They will be taken. The Great One is most interested in what Lord Xavius has told him about this disruption and their possible connection to it. But how will you find them? That forest is the realm of the demigod, Cenarius. I'm sure it was him. Cenarius is only a woodland deity, the counselor reminded him. We have behind us now much, much more than that. Turning from the night elves, Hakar snapped his whip at an open area before him. As the sinewy weapon cracked, a greenish flash of lightning struck the stone floor. In the lightning's wake, the area hid glowed brightly. The emerald flare increased rapidly in size, and as it did, it began to coalesce. The two fell beasts howled, their fearsome tentacles straining, but Hakar kept them back. A four-legged shape formed, growing larger and wider. It quickly took on an aspect already familiar to Captain Varothan, which it verified with a blood-curdling howl of its own. The new hound shook itself once, then joined the others. As the mesmerized night elves watched, Hakar repeated the step with his whip, summoning a fourth monstrous beast that lined up with the rest. He then spun the lash around and around, creating a circular pattern that flared brighter and brighter until it created a hole in the air before him, a hole as tall as the fearsome figure and twice as wide. Hakar barked out a command in some dark tongue. The hellish fell beast slipped through the hole, vanishing. As the last disappeared, the hole itself dissipated. They know what they seek, Hakar informed his stunned companions, and they will find what they seek. The fiery being wound up the whip, his dark gaze turning to the night elf spellwork. And now we shall begin our own task. Alright. That's chapter 10. So, Rox has been broke out. Yeah, Ronin is trapped in his own personal hell with Krasus, who are both trapped by Cenarius. Malfurion is doing reckless shit saving orcs, and the Night Elves are summoning monsters and being ensorcelled by some presence behind their glorious portal that is apparently not big enough. So that might be an issue. Alright, so we will do a little more leveling. We do have... Well, I guess the best choice will be going west, trying to find the Fire's pillagers and looters. Maybe we'll run around like into the messenger while there, and at least like get a little more experience in order to reach level 15, at which point we might also be able to kill the, I guess, the... Oh, that's smugglers and trappers. Those are not the ones I want. And these are also level 15, right? No, level 13. Ah, we have now discovered Moonbrook on the map. That area has been mentioned in the letters. Harvest Watcher. That is what I need to kill, theoretically. This is only level 14, but it's already tagged by a mage. Or warlock. I think that's a warlock. No, well, there's another priest. You know what? Can I target that person? Let me target that. Yeah. They can have a blessing of wisdom. Might as well help out a little. Where are we going? Is the question. No, those are harvest golems. That won't help anyone. I think I need to go... that's the farmstead. Oh, the Gold Coast Quarry is over here. So that's probably either down or up. Or no, down, maybe in here. Ah, the Pious Pillager. We have found someone. We have found someone to kill. He's level 15. And it's a caster, which is also a problem. Because these deal a shit ton of damage. I'm doing something else. These are ridiculously strong. Compared to myself right now. Well, there were some watchers on this farm, so maybe we can find some more that are lower level than 15 and kill those. Yeah, this one's level 14. That should be doable. At least these aren't casters. But of course they do take a little. I have to kill, and I have to kill 20 of them. It's one of them level 15, the rest is level 14. Do I have anything else? I could try and get this. You know what? Actually, yes, that seems a good idea. So the Murlocs, remember those up there? They have the chance to drop a treasure map. And we can get that one. That's lower level, so that might be worth for the experience. And the Murlocs were only like level 12 or something, so I should be able to kill those, no problem. However, now I have to walk back up there, but we might be able to get down that coast a little and not run into too high level Murlocs there. We'll see. What is there? There's quite a bunch still to explore. Tom of Valor, level 20. This is level 10. Can you not? Okay, this one's also level 15. That is not where I want to be then. We'll go a bit more east. There you go, that's level 13 Murloc, that's way more acceptable. It's a caster, but we can pull him a little up. Possibly. Are you serious? This is gonna be fun. Why are you level 15 again? I hate Murlocs. Now I just need one of them to drop the stupid map. Worst case scenario, I will get some experience through killing them. But, you know, that's also a lot of experience I would have to get through killing them. Give like 115, so that's like 40 Murlocs. Before I level up. Oh good, 2 casters. They are slowly becoming a little weaker the further I move east, so that will be fine. Don't like that these ones heal. Everybody's favorite pastime, killing Murlocs. because those aren't annoying fuckers whatsoever. This one has a poison. Can you stop running into the water? Okay, curved dagger of healing has, unfortunately, bonus healing, and I can't wear daggers anyway. I feel like my judgment got resisted. Can you drop the stupid map? I would like to not be here forever. I hate to resist. Stop resisting. You do also go through like mana so quickly in combat. It's a little bit ridiculous. But that's more or less classic. Wow. It was a little painful. Great, I have two. Where the hell are you going? I can't wait until this gets a little easier in terms of damage I do and mana I need and stuff like that. Or being able to interrupt casts. There should still be more Murlocs over here, right? Yep, but they are currently dead. Well, some of them are. He's gonna end. Maybe not. I don't know the probability of the map dropping, but it certainly doesn't feel very high. Wait. Oh, goody. Well, no map, so that hasn't been worth it. And that's a trick I can only repeat once an hour. Yeah, but that was lay on hands, so I can only do that once an hour. I would like one map, please. Okay. Well, only 2,000 more experience until a level up, which we will likely spend on this, or maybe I would have to check. This is already the one that reduces the mana cost, so I'm guessing the goal. This one is the goal for now. Okay. Come back here! Oh my god. Oh, yeah, that's not happening. That is a rare mob. I ain't killing that. Especially because it's higher level than me. He would, I think, drop some nice things. Two-handed weapon with 4 stamina. Mail shirt with stamina and agility, but I ain't killing a level 15 rare mob. Now I have 2 monsters again. I hate this game. He resisted my stun! Murlocs. Everybody hates them. No. Not falling for that. You've got to be kidding me. Leather bell with me, but that's a lot of armor loss, so absolutely not. Besides, intellect would only make me spellcast better, which is not the problem. Nice! Resisted the stun. Honestly, no, I don't fucking care. I don't want to be in a group right now because I don't fucking want to. We're gonna reach level 50 with Murloc killing. I'm pretty certain at this point. Oh my god. I didn't even see that one. I mean, it's gonna happen. It's only like 800 points left. I don't have any mana. I keep forgetting to see how much experience I get for these. Seems to be at 72. Yeah. 72, so that's about 10, 11-ish Murlocs for the level up if they're level 11. Probably a little less if they're higher. Can you stop? I hate you. I hate Murlocs. I just want the treasure map. Is that so much to ask for? And of course, someone else was quicker. I hate people. No, I don't want to continue that way. There's also too many people here. Go farm somewhere else. The only thing I believe is that these are the worst creatures ever designed by man. That suspiciously doesn't look like a map to me. Well, we are about maybe 3-4 murlocs away. Training Sword of Stamina. This is a one-handed weapon. No, this is a two-handed weapon, but it's a lot more damage and a bit of stamina. We'll equip that for now and see. That is... I'm very sorry, but that... I mean, it's a katana thing-ish thing. Maybe stuff will die quicker now. But I will also take more damage again. Oh, excellent. There is a problem I have not taken into consideration with this strategy. I don't have any skill in swords. It's a 10 of 70. That makes things harder to hit. It would have been nice if this uneven fight could have at least been rewarded with a map, but I guess not. Yeah, this next fight is gonna level me up. It's less than 70. 68 to be exact, to level up. Can you fucking hit the thing, please? And not even then. I think this one is good. I think I probably need to take these two. Let me see. Retribution. Leveling builds. It actually wants the parry one. Less cooldown means more often. Alright, I am going to call it here. We'll try next time to get the map again, and maybe, I don't know, kill some watchers and these things
Well met.
or something. Maybe make some room. I don't need this one anymore because it was never gonna happen now. I might try to sell this one. I don't know why I need... it's because I haven't learned this yet. I need to pick up cooking, I think.
Go with honor, friend. Greetings.
I will keep these two, I think. We'll put them back here. That can be sold, that can be sold. This one I will try to sell on the auction house for now. As I will do with the pearl. These can all go. I don't need these anymore. Or this. I need to keep this. Alright. Well,
Safe travels.
yeah, it happens. It will keep happening a lot in Classic. We still have a bunch of quests here. Like this is like 4 quests in that get started by that. We still have this one. There is quite a bunch. Some of these are only here still because I have technically done them, but there's like the stuff. You can see there's also a bunch more there. The recipe I didn't learn. I might go and pick up cooking next time. But, you know, we'll see. Anyway, I will see you on Thursday for more of this, for chapters 11 and 12. See where the story goes. Chapter 12 is gonna be the halfway point. So we'll see where that goes. And we might at least like look at cooking. Yeah, another look at the weapon here that I got. Doesn't look like a real sword. Anyway. Have a great night. See you soon. Let me actually, hold on, let me check. Do we have either Shucks or Nabble online? No. No, we do not. So... well then. Good night. Bye-bye.